The big game is fast approaching, but wait, you still haven't got your tickets. You've spent hours searching, but you're still confused about ticket prices. Time to stop searching. Visit ticketcompare.com. We compare ticket prices for all the popular leagues and tournaments for you. We work only with the most trustworthy sites, so you can have peace of mind when buying your tickets. Compare prices, buy tickets, get to the game. Ticketcompare.com. Buying tickets made simple.
What are you doing now? That's right. Morning.
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Thanks for your time this morning. Have you achieved everything that you set out to achieve this season now that survival is secured?
I don't think everything that we set out to achieve. I still feel there was more that we wanted to do this year, but I think ultimately we look back and think it was a successful campaign. It's been a tough season, I think, for most clubs that haven't been associated with the top 6, 7. But we got there in the end, and I think there's room for improvement for next year as well.
You're out of reach of last season's points total, but would you still regard it as progress this year?
Yeah, I think it's been progress this year. I think in maybe different ways from previous seasons. I think there's been more changes to the team this year than in previous seasons, so I think that in itself has been a good thing really for our long-term future. Definitely there's been some good performances in there. There's been some frustrating ones. I think we've been more competitive in the matches, although the results sometimes didn't reflect that. I think definitely in terms of my general feel, we were in near enough every game this season with a chance to get points, where it hasn't always been the case. So I think those are positive signs.
And this season, actually, we've seen more of the so-called established Premier League sides end up being relegated. Does that almost show the unpredictable nature of this league and how perhaps the league is changing a little bit that nobody's saying?
Yeah, I think outside of the top 6, 7 clubs, I think everyone this season at some stage has looked over their shoulder with the threat of relegation. And I think that's how tight the league has been for a lot of clubs, how evenly matched the teams are. So the fact that we didn't get drawn into those positions down the bottom, I think, is a credit to the players and everyone connected with the club. Of course, there's a wish for me that we produce more consistent performances, and that's the slight frustration we have. I think we are capable of better.
What do you think the next step is for Bournemouth in terms of progress? Where do you see that next big step being?
I think the biggest challenge for us is still to improve the infrastructure of the club. So we're looking at the training ground and the stadium as two huge things for us to really affect long-term change here. So that's definitely stuff that we need to work towards. I think on the pitch, all I'm going to focus on is continual improvement. I think it's going to be a big transfer window for us this summer. I think we're going to have to be very smart with what we do. And we're looking forward to the challenges that poses for us.
You mentioned a big transfer window there. Has this week, now that survival's been secured, has this week been used to perhaps tell players that they're not going to be here next season, or is that not, those conversations not happened yet?
No, I haven't sat down with any players at this moment in time. We've got one more game to go and we're focused on that. All preparations have been geared towards Burnley. Next week, certainly I'll be speaking to all of the players and setting out my plans for next year.
And you mentioned that it's going to be a big transfer window then. Would you expect a large turnover of players this summer?
I'm not sure a large turnover is we've never worked that way. I don't think that's healthy for the team. But certainly I think we're going to need to do certain things. We're going to need to be active in the market. I think we've seen an emergence of some really important young players for us this season. I think that'll be important for our future. So the likes of Lewis Cook, Lys Mousset, Jordan Ibe have played important roles in our campaign this year. And I think that's very important that the team continues to evolve. We can't stand still, and certainly that's what I'll be looking to do.
I know you've already spoken about Kieran Tierney, but in terms of investment this summer, is the investment there? Have you had the conversations in terms of the money that's going to be available this summer, and is that money matching your ambition here at the club?
I've had no discussions in terms of budgets or money. for me, the season is still going, so our focus is on football at the moment. But there will come a time when we have those discussions.
And I think this weekend it's maybe £10 million the difference between finishing 10th and where you could possibly finish. Does that matter to a football coach? Does that matter, the financial figures involved, or not?
I think if it doesn't matter, there's a problem. I've been made aware of the importance of the game, by probably more you guys than anybody else. But I think we know that the league placing is important, and not for me. Never for the money is my first motivation. Of course, I want the club to earn as much money as it can, but it's the individual pride and collective responsibility that we need to finish as high as we possibly can. So we're taking this game very seriously.
And you look at Burnley, who've had such a terrific season. Do you look at them in terms of a progress for next season? Look at them and perhaps emulate them for next season?
Yeah, I think they've had an outstanding season, and I think that is something we would definitely look at in terms of how they've achieved the success they've had. I think their players, their manager, everyone connected with the club deserve a lot of credit for a very consistent campaign. They started the season very well with some great results against the big teams, and they've managed to carry that momentum through. So they've been very impressive this season.
And just a couple more general questions, if I may. Wayne Rooney, there's obviously the story that he's going to be going potentially to MLS and DC United. What would you say about Wayne Rooney as the player and what he's given to the Premier League over those years?
Yeah, difficult to put into words, really. I think he's been outstanding. He's been a real difference maker. Someone that scored, I mean, the sheer amount of goals that he scored is incredible for a start. The fact he's done it at one of the biggest clubs in the world for the majority of that time, again, I think that's the real model of consistency. Every season he's hitting great levels. Of course, now moved to Everton, back to his first club, and he still scored a good number of goals this year. So full credit to him for that. I think longevity at this level is incredibly hard to achieve, and he deserves all the credit for doing that.
You don't fancy nipping in there and doing a deal?
Wait and see.
And obviously it's coming towards the end of the season. We're asking all the managers there, manager of the season. Who do you think has done an amazing job, an outstanding job this season?
So many at different levels as well. I mean, that's a tough question. I think you have to look at Pep Guardiola. He's won the league, and the style of which he's done that as well, I think, has been incredible, really. And certainly the games that we've played against them, I thought they were impressive against us. So I think he deserves huge credit. But Sean Dyche, we've already talked about, had an outstanding season. And then you look at the other end of the table. Roy Hodgson done a brilliant job. No points, quite a way into the season to turn them round and keep them safe comfortably. Great achievement. When you look at the lower leagues, and I always look down the leagues at some incredible performers there. John Coleman, what he achieved this season, magnificent. And there's a lot more besides that. So I don't want to have to reel everybody off, but I think there's been some outstanding achievements from managers this year.
And just to finally bring it back to you guys, I know it could potentially be a big summer for Lewis Cook with the World Cup on the horizon. Do you think he's ready to tackle that tournament and be involved in that England squad?
I'd back him too, yeah, if he got given the call from Gareth. He's had a great season. He really has progressed from the start to the end. He's improved so much. My hope for him is that he has a good summer wherever that leads him, and we'll certainly be watching closely. Yeah, the ones that have been out are still out. So Adam Smith misses out, Harry Arter misses out, Junior Stanislas misses out. We've got one or two other knocks that we'll see, but in the main we're okay. No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Eddie.
Hi.
Joshua King's 100th Premier League appearance this weekend. If he's involved, of course, how would you assess his season?
I think Josh hasn't maybe hit the heights that he hit the previous season, where he was absolutely outstanding for us. One of the big reasons why we finished as high as we did with the points that we did was having a striker who hits, I think it was 17 goals and led the line for us and performed so well. I think the second season after a season like that is difficult to replicate. It's difficult to do, and I think he's had a good season. I think he's played his part in the team. He's played different positions for us. He's been versatile. He's always shown a good attitude. I think he will feel he wants more goals. But he's definitely contributed to the team, and I always think that's hugely important without maybe the hitting the heights that he did the season before.
He was so good, wasn't he, in the latter half of last season? How hard is that to emulate as a player?
I think, as I say, consistency is so difficult at this level because teams definitely went into this year knowing more about him, knowing more of his strengths, and possibly came with game plans to try and stop him, knowing that and identifying that he was one of our main threats. So having to deal with that and having to work a way around that is sometimes difficult. But that's why I'd like to clearly state he has performed well for the team, and you can't underestimate that. He's been a key part of another season of success for us. But I do back him to go again next year. I think it'll be a big season for him.
Eddie, I know you touched on this already, but do you anticipate your busiest off-season in terms of recruitment since you've been in the Premier League?
I think our first season was, thinking back, was quite busy, I think. But that was a different year because there were a lot of unknowns. We didn't quite know who was going to step up, who could step up, who couldn't step up. So we were very active in the market. I would like to think that we wouldn't be as active as that season. I'd only want to add quality additions. It's not about numbers for me. It's about trying to improve the squad, the team, with the resources that we'll be given. Never an easy thing to do. So no, numbers no, but quality yes.
Because obviously just in previous, that's the mantra you've sort of taken in the off-season. So you haven't gone out and brought in lots of players. It's been a select number. You've paid money for them, but obviously we're talking minor numbers. So I'm just wondering if you think numbers might increase this summer. Do they need to increase?
No, I don't think so. For me, it's a very similar feel. As I just said, I think it's about the quality of the player, not the amount that you bring in. Sometimes you can bring in too many players and disrupt the balance, unity, cohesion of the team. You've got to be very careful that we don't lose the core of what we're good at. So I think it's very important that you keep the nucleus of the squad together. But you just build and you continue to evolve. As I said earlier, we can't stand still. We need to keep evolving and changing.
And you've spoken about this as well, but I mean, realistically, only minor improvements can be made once you've finished in the top half of the Premier League. But is it an odd feeling for you, having not improved on last season? First time that's happened to you in either of your spells?
I see your question, but I think it depends on how you measure it. So if you're looking purely at numbers and stats, then yes, we haven't improved. We're well aware of that. And there's been a slight internal disappointment for me in that respect. But I could handle that a lot better if I felt we'd performed at our maximum. Then you'd go, well, there's nothing more we could have done, but I don't think we have. And I think that's where there's room for improvement. And I think that's a good thing. So as we go into next season, I think if we were flat out, maxed out, I don't know where we can go next, but I think there's a lot more individuals can give. I think there's a lot more collectively we can give to have a better season next year.
Eddie, with talking about guys like Cook and Owen, you said moving along nicely, you've also given those guys time as well to build the squad to accommodate that. Is that the best way to get the most out of players? When they're settled, obviously they need to be incentivised, of course, but if they're settled, does that give them the best chance of reaching their peak?
Well, I think it's the way we look at it is we're never going to be able to sign established Premier League players at 24, 25, 26 years old in their prime. That's just not going to happen. We're well aware of that. So I think we have to choose a route to go down in terms of our recruitment as to how we look to recruit players. So we've more often than not tried to sign young players, develop them, improve them, so they can then, when they are in their prime, step into the Premier League and do very well. It won't always work. You'll get one or two wrong along the way, but in the main, I think that's probably still the healthiest way for us to recruit, because then you get the long-term benefits of when they are established. Ryan Fraser would be a really good example of possibly how we would look to recruit. He took a long time to, as we knew he would when we signed him, to get into the team. Remembering we signed him in League One, but now he's an established Premier League player in my view and doing really, really well, and hopefully we'll get the benefit long-term of his recent success. So, yes, how you identify those players, and that's obviously the tricky bit.
Does that get harder every year?
I think it gets harder because of the level that we're recruiting at now, and I think to such a high level to sign players and develop them away from the pitch and purely on the training ground is sometimes difficult. You need to expose them to the games to get them to truly to bed into the level, and that's why I've been pleased with the young players that have done that this season, and hopefully their best football is ahead of them.
And just in terms of, I suppose, the flip side of that is it a strong selling point for recruitment for kind of entice players to come here, the fact that they will be given that opportunity to a little bit of time to find it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the key things for us. I think people would identify that we're not going to have the biggest resources. We're not going to carry a huge squad. So if they are part of the squad, they would have a chance to play. So definitely, I think that's one of the big selling points for me.